Today, it's time to talk about Horizons of the modern variety. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, and welcome to my video talking about Modern Horizons and what you can expect from the set. At this point, we have a fair bit of information about the set, but we don't have a card list. So let's go over everything that we already know, what are reasonable expectations for the set, and we'll get set up for the upcoming spoiler season that we're getting ready to dive into. I'm looking forward to seeing what else is coming along in the set. So let's start out with the two cards that have already been spoiled from the set, because obviously it'll give you at least somewhat of an idea what we're dealing with here. So the first card we're going to talk about is Sarah the Benevolent. Now, I gave her full-on own lore video, so I will put the lore video link at the end here. At the end of the video, there will be a whole playlist of lore videos. The Sarah video is in there if you want to take a look at it like in depth. But the card itself is 2 white, 2 colorless for a foil for a 4 loyalty planeswalker, +2 ability. Creatures you control with flying get +1/+1 till end of turn. -3 ability. Create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance. And -6, you get an emblem with, if you control a creature, damage that reduce your life total to less than 1, reduces it to 1 instead. Now, what's fun about this card is it's actually tied into 3 cards that are keyed to Sarah specifically. If you want to know more about those, go ahead and check out the playlist. Now, Sarah represents obviously a character from Magic that's been part of the game for a long time and has finally seen the light of day. All right, now, as an added note, there is another planeswalker in the set, but that is supposedly based on a new character. So the other planeswalker is apparently not going to be a throwback, unless by new character, they're underhandedly saying a new character to get a card, but still an old character. As far as I understand it, it's a brand new planeswalker, brand new character. Now, on the other hand, we have Cabal Therapist, and this is 1 black for a 1/1 menace, and at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may sacrifice a creature. When you do, choose a non-land card name, then target player reveals their hand and discards all cards with that name. So it works like a reusable Cabal Therapy. And both these cards have absolutely fantastic art, by the way. So we're looking at some nice art. Now, these are only part of the set, because Modern Horizons is a special beast. They haven't actually done a set like this before. Here's how cards normally make their way into Modern. Through Standard. That's it. Sets get released in Standard, and then they rotate. Well, they don't rotate, but they end up in Modern as soon as they're introduced into Standard. But that would be the only path. So, for example, Commander decks that get released, Commander 2016, 2017, what have you, none of those cards are Modern legal unless they were already in the Modern format, having gotten there through being released into Standard. When they create supplemental products like Battle Bond, for example, those cards also don't end up in Modern. Now, everything in Modern Horizons is going to be Modern legal, and everything in Modern Horizons is going to be new to Modern, but only half the cards are going to be new overall. What do I mean by that? Well, half of the set is going to be reprints from sets that are so old that they were never a part of Modern, and only old grandpappy Magic people like me even remember them. We're talking about cards from way back in the day. Anything pre-Modern is fair game. So roughly half the set is new, and roughly half the set is reprints. And this is pretty exciting. In terms of power level, the Cabal Therapist card that we've shown you is ranked in the top 10 most powerful cards in the set from the information that was released. So we won't see too many more cards that are more powerful than that, which is good. I mean, you want to bring some new stuff to Modern, you want to shake it up, but you don't want it to be to the point where you can only use cards from this new, like basically not only, because I mean Modern's huge, but you don't want a scenario where you have to have the cards from Modern Horizons to be able to compete. That's not a good recipe for success with Wizards of the Coast. It would basically just create a power inflation race. Power creep would become very real, where it would be a point where you would have to buy Modern Horizons. Now, this set will be more expensive than your regular sets. I expect that it'll come in at roughly double the price. A booster box will be roughly double the price normally. Now, it comes out on the 14th of June, so it's coming out in a month from now. It will actually have a pre-release events from June 8th and 9th. That's when that's going down. It's a 254 card set. Yes, it will have a buy a box promo, and it will be something that's printed separately. So the buy a box promo, I think, now I'm not 100% sure on this because the information isn't clear, but as far as I understand, the buy a box promo is going to be a reprint, which I think is a good idea. I think that making the buy a box promo something brand new to Modern, if it turns out to be something really important, would cause kind of, you don't want to have a really super limited amount of these cards, and the buy a box cards are limited in nature. We've seen that with things like Nexus of Fate, which, by the way, yours truly pointed out that was a mistake, and it was. So Modern Horizons actually honestly looks pretty exciting. It's supposed to be a love letter to the Time Spiral block, and the Time Spiral block was pulling things from all over different parts of Magic history, and that's apparently what's going on here. And you can see that even in the two cards that I've shown you. If you've been playing the game for a long time, you will know about Sarah, and you will know about Cabal Therapy. So those are nice nods to that. I expect to see more of that nature. We're looking at a set with, I believe it's a bare minimum of 10 different mechanics being used, so there's going to have some depth there. Now, what we need to bear in mind is that this is going to be a draft set as well. It's going to be designed to be drafted, so there are going to be balancing issues when it comes to commons and uncommons. This isn't going to be a purely powerhouse set. You will see people have different wish lists of what they want to see reprinted in this. One that you hear bandied about a lot is Counterspell. People would really like to see Counterspell enter Modern, and I don't think the Counterspell is too overpowered for Modern. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised to see them include it, but I also wouldn't be surprised to see it not included. One thing you're going to need to bear in mind with this is that Modern Horizons is intended to be a series of sets. They're not just looking at doing this as a one-shot. Now, they're saying it's interesting because they're like, okay, this is 2019's innovation set. And if you don't know what innovation sets are, think your random outlier sets that aren't connected to anything, your conspiracies, your battle bonds, your unstables. These are innovation sets where they're just trying something kind of different. Now, they're saying this is 2019's innovation set, but they're also telegraphing to us, they're also letting us know that Modern Horizons is going to be an ongoing series. And you can see this because on the cards themselves, down in the corner where it has the set, it says MH, great initials by the way, might stand for something else there, huh? A little something a little magical. Anyways, MH1. And this indicates that they will indeed be doing multiple Modern Horizons. So you've got to bear in mind that it's entirely possible that they are going to not overload this set with too many powerful cards because they're intentionally looking. I imagine the plan is to have every Modern Horizon set be the same in that half of it will be brand new stuff that they're creating, bringing to the table, and the other half will be reprints that they're bringing into Modern. Now, I don't think they're going to want to bring too much garbage into Modern, but you do have to understand that this is Wizards of the Coast. They have gotten greedy with master sets before. If you think about iconic masters, hell, anybody who was there yesterday for the big 15,000 subscriber live stream celebration where we cracked packs and we were opening packs of iconic and stuff, you know that those packs were loaded down with a lot of garbage. So it's entirely possible that Wizards of the Coast will load Modern Horizons down with some trash under the whole guise of, oh, it's a draft set and it needs to be balanced for draft. And because they use that excuse with the master sets too, to be the reason that they didn't put all kinds of amazingness in it. So you need to be aware that they may use that as an excuse as to why they put a bunch of junk. So you could see cards that no one will ever use in Modern. Like they're calling it Modern Horizons and they're bringing cards over into Modern. But that doesn't mean they're going to be cards that Modern wants. They're not going to be guaranteed to be Modern playable in terms of being competitive enough to stand up with the cards that actually matter. Because the thing about Modern is, it's a powerhouse format because it has so many years and so many sets to reach from. And when it comes to Magic design, they only design the cards with the standard environment, basically just with the standard environment that they're in mind. Now, obviously, they have power levels that they try not to exceed, but we will see. They are obsoleting more and more cards as we go along. There's examples like there's a new version of Naturalize now, which is strictly better than Naturalize. That allows you a third option of permanence to destroy. So we've reached the point where they will obsolete some cards, but that doesn't mean they're not going to be bringing like jankier versions over from the earlier sets there, where they go, okay, you know what, we're going to shunt in some trash. Who cares if it doesn't actually affect Modern? We've got to like fill up these spots in our set. So honestly, I expect that there's going to be probably a bit of junk shoved in there. It's not like the half of the set that's all reprints is going to be all hotness, because at the end of the day, you can only make so many sets that way. There's only so many cards that are really going to be Modern worthy. And Wizards of the Coast always wants to have tantalizing cards. They always want a handful of cards, at least, that keeps you cracking those packs hoping to get them, whether it's a really solid uncommon or an awesome rare or mythic rare. Because uncommons, as we've seen with things like Fatal Push, are enough to drive people to crack packs. So we're looking at a scenario where we're going to most likely get some nice reprints for Modern, and we're most likely going to get some, these are in Modern now, but nobody will ever use them in Modern style reprints. Overall, I think this set is a big step up from something like the Master sets. They discontinued the Master sets because they got really, really greedy with them. They basically just started diluting them down. Originally the Master sets were designed to serve formats, and that's why you had Modern Masters, Eternal Masters, things of that nature. And then they got greedy and decided, wait, if we can charge triple the price for these, why don't we just keep cranking out these Master sets? And that's when they came up with theme Master sets. And that's also when they got kind of skeezy with the way that they advertised to us. They put out Iconic Masters, and the advertising for Iconic Masters made it sound like Iconic Masters was going to be all kinds of cool stuff from Magic's history. And then when that set flopped, they came out and said, no, you know what, you guys misunderstood that. We meant iconic like Hydras and Angels. But when you go and look at the marketing materials they put out for it, it's pretty clear that they were fine with misleading us, and they tried to lead us down that path. And then they brought out Masters 25 and like, this is a set that you were waiting for. But they've just been tarnishing the Masters name as they went along, and they finally just wrapped it up with Ultimate Masters, where they threw in the box topper at the last minute because like, oh, these sets are terrible, they're a train wreck, we need to just try and like bribe people with a random lottery ticket card. So that's where the Master sets went off the rail. The first Modern Masters was amazing, and from that point onwards, they got greedy and things got worse and worse and worse and worse for the customer. Not just in terms of the cards, but just bad for the customer overall. Now, we're going back to this concept of serving formats with Modern Horizons, but this time they're bringing that new twist of screw it, we're going to make cards specifically for Modern. And because those cards are sidestepping going past Standard, that allows them to push the power level on the upper tier of cards. So I don't expect every card to be a powerhouse, but I do expect to see some stuff they just couldn't easily throw into Standard, but that they can totally put into Modern, because in Modern you're more swimming with sharks instead of guppies like sometimes in Standard. Standard can be obviously weaker power level. Modern draws from a huge breadth of sets to pull from, and Standard only has the small 2-year window basically. So overall, I think that this set is probably going to be a good one. And part of the reason I think that is because of how badly they screwed up with the Master sets. They want to come back somewhere in the middle where they can charge more for this product. I mean, every set costs them the same to print, right? And in this case, they're already using half reprints. They don't even have to design half the set. So they get half the set already designed for them. Some of them with new artwork, obviously, to avoid royalties, because some really old cards actually have royalty agreements with the artists. So I'm guessing we'll actually see a lot of new artwork, which is cool. A lot of new artwork to bring new flavor to old cards, reimaginings of the concepts behind them. But it's going to be time spirally affected in terms of let's get flavor from all over the place. To me, that's pretty exciting. I expect this set's complexity level to be fairly high just based on the number of mechanics they're bringing in. But it's also not like you have to sit down and figure out how to use all these pieces in a Standard environment. It's more like going to be a smorgasbord, what's it called? Just a choose your own menu kind of thing, like a sushi menu where it's like, I'll take this, and I'll take this. There'll be a few cards for different archetypes that are pre-existent, and who knows, there may be enough in there to birth brand new modern decks that are actually capable of competing on the same level with pre-existent decks. So for me, I'm really hyped about seeing what kind of spoilers are coming. They've already knocked it out of the park for me by making Sarah into a Planeswalker card. I really like the idea of them continuing along with this series and giving us like a Yawgmoth card, giving us like an actual Urza Planeswalker, not the fun and silly one, but a real Urza. That would be delightful. There's a number of characters and old school stuff they can bring to the forefront and make cards for that before really was only able, they were only really able to do it in Commander, man. Sorry, I know I've knocked the camera stand a number of times during this video. There's not an earthquake going on. It's just my leg moving around. So I'm looking forward to the possibility of them bringing all kinds of old flavor and characters to the forefront, giving them cards and letting me have that nice sweet, give daddy some nostalgia. Oh, I'll take it right here, please. I'm fattening up my vein for the nostalgia. Inject it here. All right, so let me know what you guys think. Are you hyped for Modern Horizons? Do you not really care? I'm thinking you're probably like me. It's new cards. It's exciting. It's always fun to get new cards, but the power level on these can be crazy, and the flavor isn't locked to one world. Like when you're dealing with like Ravnica, everything has to make sense on Ravnica. But with this, it can be places from anywhere, people from anywhere, whatever they want to do. So I'm hyped about that. You know what else I'm hyped about? The Golden Scroll. The people who have my back on Patreon or through channel memberships. Genuinely appreciate you guys having my back. It's been a long journey. We celebrated 15,000 subscribers yesterday. Thanks to everybody who came out and hung out with me. I had a fantastic time. We are welcoming a brand new member to the Golden Scroll, Optimal C, who was renamed, rebirthed in the purifying fires of yesterday's live stream. Thanks for joining my channel membership, brother. Hold your head high because you are now one of my golden lords. And to all of you, I say thanks for coming, and I'm history, baby.